We can do a quick build diary, as all of you guys have been asking. So we're playing a Spectral Shield Throw build, pretty much pure physical. There's another version where you can convert partially to like cold and scale with elemental, but it does a lot of damage, but I'm way too lazy for that. So instead we're doing pure physical with Impale, and it's been working out pretty great. I leveled with it all the way through to from level 12. I just picked up the dual node between Shadow and Ranger. Later on respec out of it since it's not that good, and we can get the one in Duelist. And yeah, I pretty much only used 3 shields for leveling. It was a Lycoside, a Tititious Span, and some random 900 armor shield when I hit like level 50. That's pretty much it. Eventually, if I do not have enough damage, I'll do the converted version, but it requires significantly more gear, and I just didn't have access to a whole lot of stuff since this is my first non-SSF character this league. And we're just trying to make the best with what we've got. I don't have Uber Lab yet on what you're saying, so I do have like a Pierce right now, so you could get rid of the Pierce and instead pick up Powerful Precision. I really haven't decided on what I'm going to do for my Uber Lab just yet. It's kind of a tricky choice. It depends if you end up using Resolute Technique. You can see I don't pick it up on the skill tree, but I do have it on a Prismatic Eclipse. It's probably something that's going to get brought up a lot, so I am using a Prismatic Eclipse with Resolute Technique. You can use Edward's Mirage. Also, you can't get any corrupt. It's especially easy to get any corrupt you want on a Prismatic Eclipse because people are corrupting for white sockets, for the Cyclone and whatnot. I did go with Resolute Technique. You can also get like an extra projectile, which I don't think does anything. You can get Onslaught on kill. That could be useful too. I am still using a Silver Flask as I think my defense is more than good enough. For my shield, I am using a Colossal Tower shield that I just self-crafted with a Dense Fossil. It took me like 3 or 4 Dense Fossils. Obviously, these shields aren't going to have life, and you're looking for as much armor as possible. Non-legacy, right now you can get to like 2.9k or something, so not even 2.4 isn't that great, but it gets the job done. This character is only level 86, so I am just now like really getting into red maps, and it's been holding up, so I don't feel like I have a need to replace it, but sooner or later I'm gonna have to do it. I am using a Spectral Shield Throw, fires 5 additional shard projectiles enchant on my helmet. The helmet itself is pretty freaking terrible. We should craft something with a Jagged Essence, with a Jagged Fossil for the physical damage, as again we do purely physical deeps, and that's also why our chest piece is a Sacrificial Garb. Obviously you can do this on anything you want. This was just like super cheap. I got it for 2x, and then I crafted it with serrated fossils with pristines. This is what we ended up with. Nothing crazy, but it absolutely gets the job done. And the rest of my gear is pretty much just cover resistances, get like some extra physical damage. I'm trying to get strength, but you know, all of these gear pieces have costed anywhere from like 5 to 20 chaos max, so it's nothing too crazy. On your boots you want movement speed. I do recommend you get a chance to avoid being stunned enchant on your boots, as it does help a lot and gives you immunity if you have killed recently with Heart of Oak nodes. So super useful, makes your character feel really tanky. And then I'm also using the Nomad Belt, which is an upgraded magnet. It gives us just a ton of damage. You can also corrupt it. Mine has 6% strength and intelligence, which isn't that great. You can get all resistance. That's super duper useful. And for flasks, right now I'm using just a regular instant Divine of Heat. This is because we use the Crab Ascendancy. We will be getting like 7.5k HP with this build, so we won't be getting frozen that frequently, but yeah, you can use something like this. Maybe you can mess around with a immune to corrupting blood jewel. That shouldn't be too hard, but yeah, we are using Soul of the Brine King Pantheon, and my other Pantheon is Soul of Ralakesh, but it's just more of a comfy pick because I do stream and it's sometimes I just not paying attention, so you know, maybe I died to a bleed or two twice, but nobody really cares about that. Using a Jade of Warding. I'm using Granite of Iron skin. The Granite of Iron skin, honestly, I might just replace it for a Rumis because this build's gonna have like 40k armor anyway, so the extra Iron skin doesn't do a whole lot. The other choice would be a Granite of Grounding for the shocks, but since, again, we will have like 7.5k HP or so, Not super duper scared of the shocks, but you should always be scared of shocks. So eventually this is gonna go for one or the other. Then I'm using a silver flask of staunching. Don't use a silver flask, just get the... I'm too lazy. Okay, use a basalt or something. It's so much better. And then I'm using a regular quicksilver of adrenaline. You should get alchemist. Again, I'm lazy. I didn't. And the mobility is more than enough anyway, so... yeah. But if you want that extra 20 something movement speed, you can totally get that. I can recommend it. As for the links that we have set up, the Spectral Shield Throw, I do recommend you get quality, as the projectile speed actually makes a pretty big difference. Brutality, Chain, Pierce, Vicious Projectiles, and Impale. This guarantees us a 100% chance to impale and increases our damage tremendously. And there's not much room to wiggle around here. Again, you can get powerful precision on your Uber Lab, maybe get rid of your Pierce, maybe replace it with like energy shield leech. Maybe you can try out slower projectiles, but yeah, I don't see them actually being better, but we'll see. Once we release the full build guide, you should have a better idea about that. Your regular faster casting, fortify, shield charge, endurance charge on stun setup. We do a lot of damage with our shield charge, so we pretty much always have endurance charges. We don't use anything like immortal call, so as long as you keep them up. We also have endurance charge on kill from one of the shield nodes, so you pretty much always have endurance charges. I wouldn't really mind investing even into endurance charges, as we do have. We're by one. I think it could be worth it. Maybe I'm going to be using intuitive leap in the future over where I currently have divide and conquer. For the endurance charge, adamant, the reduction, maybe cloth and chain even. It's a very powerful node. Yeah, even some bleed action, but probably not. Then we've got a enfeeble, molten shell, increased duration, cast when damage taken. I'm keeping it at level 44. I found this to be pretty good. Don't worry too much about the intelligence on your enfeeble. It is a pretty large investment, so try and get a quality one, and you don't really have to level it that much. Molten shell is a tremendous amount of defense for us. Yeah, it's just a ton of survivability since we do have a lot of armor. I wouldn't really tell you to use anything else. Then we've got Flesh and Stone, Dread Banner, Pride, and Ancestral Protector. So these are obviously not linked, but that's what I ended up with. Flesh and Stone is just really good for the blind. Super efficient. And then the less damage taken really helps with some of those pesky Legion spear mobs. Dread Banner, this allows us to gain to get 100% chance to impale. I don't have it on my bar since I never actually put it down, as yeah, the initial effects are super important. And then yeah, the Pride is kind of wonky. You have to be on top of the target, but we do use point blank, so you being on top of the target helps a lot. Try and get quality on it. It actually increases it by a lot and allows you to do a lot more damage. But we are kind of like melee-ish. Obviously, we have a lot of range capabilities, but you kind of play like a melee build because you jump into the middle of the pack due to our tankiness and just blow shit up from the inside. And then yeah, the Ancestral Protector, I very rarely use it, but sometimes you might feel like you have some downtime and you can put it down and deliver a little bit more deeps. Then we've got Grace, increased duration, and Vol Molten Shell. Specifically, the Molten Shell part doesn't really matter. Vol Molten Shell matters a lot because it gives us like 30,000 extra HP, essentially, with the amount of armor that I'm going to have in the late game. Currently, it's about 20,000. Again, I will be having more. I will be changing up my chest piece and getting more armor, like, overall everywhere. Yeah, it's huge. It's a ton of defense. Vol Grace is also amazing. We don't use the Grace, it's also Vol Grace. The 33% chance to dodge attacks and spell hits makes a massive difference. I do have right now 46% block, so yeah, we're almost going to be capped out with a Raiz. Really good survivability. Even the armor alone is just so much freaking survivability, and then you pair it up with the evasion, all this other stuff makes a big difference. And then we've got Charge Dash. The reason for this is because it's green, and we use triple green on our Prismatic Eclipse for the attack speed. Again, something that you can mess around with. And then Blood Rage, pretty much your standard setup. And yeah, if Also, if you're leveling, it's pretty standard. You pretty much do the same thing with every Deadeye every time. But you pick up Gathering Winds first. It's really good. Then Far Shot second. It's pretty good. Far Shot has a pretty big drop off, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Like I wouldn't risk an early lab or something like that. Then we get Ricochet. Ricochet is where the majority of our damage really comes from. I mean, I say majority, but that's not true. It does a lot of damage. Okay, I shield throw chains 7 times, so this is in a single target scenario. It's 70% more damage. Yeah, so there's also the possibility to play other Ascendancies. I do really like the synergy for Deadeye, the speed and everything. Tailwind is amazing. But if you really want to, you can also totally play Champion, but then you lock yourself out of the whole elemental aspect of it. And in general, I don't think Champion is good enough for something like that. I mean, it's good. But then also, if you maybe have a problem with the clearing, or you want more consistent, more speed, or a tiny bit more defense, then you can also go with Gladiator. I genuinely don't think you can go wrong with either. And yeah. However, with Gladiator also, you would have to stick with, Fizz. Because then you pick up Gratitious, you get Outmatch and Outlast and Arena Challenger. And for Champion, you would get Worthy Foe, Master of Metal, which is ridiculously good. And then most likely Unstoppable Hero. I don't think any of the other ones would be worthwhile. I've also seen Crying play a Berserker. I didn't like it. He used Fork and everything, and the clear looked really fucking annoying. But it did damage and it was pretty zoomy. But it's not like we're not. So, and yeah, leveling was super smooth. Didn't really have any problems. Definitely can recommend. The build's super fun, super tanky. We'll see how far we take it. And I'll keep you guys updated on whether or not we've actually made the switch and converted to non-impale. Kind of like a hybrid-y physical elemental thing. So yeah, thanks. See you guys in the full build guide.